Everybody, welcome back. So today is going to be a great one. I'm Brittany Chambers here in Colorado. I'm going to tell you all things real estate. Today especially, I'm going to be very truthful and tell you all the stinky things about Denver and the surrounding areas. So you found my channel because you're either in Denver, Colorado, and you want some more information, or you're planning on moving here. So you might as well subscribe. And you might as well hit that like button as well, because this video is probably going to give you a good laugh. So let's get it right into it. I'm going to talk about the 5 stinkiest places in the Denver metro area. And it's not that Colorado is a stinky state, but every state and city has their smelly places, right? And if you're not familiar with our area, it's probably a really good thing to know about, because our weather here changes. That affects when the smells come in, when they leave. And so this is going to be very, very informational for all of you. So let's dive right into it. The 5 stinky places in the Denver metro area that you're going to want to know about if you plan on moving here. So the first one, I don't know how many of you can guess it, but the Purina Dog Food Factory. It's in North Denver. It's right off I-70. Now, when you drive by this place, if your windows are down, your car is going to stink like you've had an open bag of dog food in the back of it during the hottest summer of the year. Oh! That is no joke. And that is not an understatement. That is how smelly this can truly be. But with our weather here, you can drive by this factory and not smell a thing. And I don't know if it's their cooking schedule or what they do in that factory, but it can be a hot day and you can smell nothing, and it can be a cold day and it is the most horrific smell ever. Sometimes if the wind's just right, it makes it even worse. And there's really no rhyme or reason that I've found. I used to drive by this every single day. So if you're planning on moving to Denver, specifically the north part of like downtown Denver, please be diligent. Drive around the neighborhood multiple times, different times throughout the days and weeks if you're looking in that area, unless you decide you want to join the lawsuit with all of the neighbors that are in that area that have decided to sue Purina because of the stench. Just do your due diligence if you're planning on moving up there. Now, second, this is a bit farther north of Denver. We're talking Fort Collins, Greeley, Frederick. There's a lot of new builds up there. There's college towns up there. It's becoming quite a bit popular, but there's one catch. It smells like a cow farm everywhere you go. It's like you hit a certain exit on I-25 and there's the smell. And it is there for miles. It covers the farthest stretch possible up there. It is very distinct. It is there all year long. So if you're choosing to live up there, most people do say that they get used to it and they don't smell it anymore. And like anything else, there's good days and bad days depending on the wind and depending on the weather. So all of those things play into all smells. But this one especially, you need to be aware of. And you're going to be aware of it the second you start driving up there. So just keep that in mind. But it is gorgeous up there. The view of the Front Range that you have up there is stunning. There's a lot of great things to say about those cities up there. So wish you luck. And I definitely work up there. I have many clients that are up there. They say they have gotten over the smell very quickly and they love it. So there is some great things up there. Next, I don't know if you are aware, but this is the state of Colorado. And many of you know that we have a very prominent skunk smell. Yes, we have a lot of pot shops. There's a ton of marijuana being grown here, whatever you want to call it, and it's everywhere. And it can be on the corner. It can be behind your grocery store. It can be down the street a few blocks and you can smell it. So I would recommend, if you are looking to purchase that nice family home, make sure you're aware of your surroundings like anything else. You know, drive through that neighborhood different times of the day, different times throughout the week, and be aware of not just your surroundings, but your smells. Because if you are wanting to raise a family there and you are wanting to have, you know, your son or daughter's birthday party in the backyard and that stench is very strong, that may ruin your party. It may not bother you at all, just depends. My parents always told me that it was just a skunk problem in the neighbor's yard, and I kind of went along with it. No big deal, we all just got used to it. So just be aware of it depending on what your opinions are. and they are everywhere, so just be aware. Next is the mystery stench from some of our ponds, our retention ponds, some of our streams here. You know, as I've mentioned in quite a few of my videos, Littleton especially, we have a lot of greenbelts and ponds, and they are all up and down the Front Range, and some of them are exceptionally stinky. And it's not every day. You know, in the wintertime, if you're house hunting and you're not far from a little pond in your neighborhood, it probably smells just fine, probably because that water is close to freezing, if not frozen over. So you're not gonna smell it. But if you're there in the spring, the summer, especially the fall, that's going to get rank. So how do you go about finding out if you live next to a stinky pond or not? Well, I recommend going on Nextdoor. Everybody on Nextdoor seems to have these really big opinions, and so if there is a stench, they're going to tell you, and a lot of people will tell you. So go on Nextdoor, comb through all the complaints of your neighborhood that you are potentially looking for a house in, and you will find out if you have stinky pond or if you do not. That's my opinion. The next one, you're not gonna suspect this one, but the next stinky problem could be your neighbor. And I have to tell you a story along this. So I was helping this awesome couple purchase their first home, and you know, we were looking in a great part of town. We found this awesome neighborhood. The street was just so clean, the yards were pristine. It was an older brick style home, and it was one of those days we were house hunting, and the weatherman was throwing out weather temperatures for the day like lottery, right? It's 60 in the morning, and 2 or 3 in the afternoon, you're going to be expecting a winter storm warning coming, and we're gonna get a couple inches of snow, and it's gonna drop down to the 30s, and then it's gonna be below freezing overnight. And so when we started our house hunting early afternoon, it was still quite sunny. You know, it was 60 that day, but you know, we wore some layers like Coloradans always do. And that snowstorm hit a couple hours early, which is to be expected because our weathermen here are not the most accurate, especially on timing of the storms. They are not very accurate. So we came across this house. It fit all of their needs. It was very clean, had everything they wanted, plus a little more. It was in the perfect location. Like I said, the neighborhood was just what they were looking for. And the backyard was just plain fenced, grassy backyard. It was flat. There was not even any trees. It was fairly small. So we didn't spend a lot of time in the backyard. We just kind of walked out there, walked back in, mostly just taking a look at the outside of the home. And it was very, very cold and windy, so we ran back inside. Now, they ended up loving this home. We submitted an offer, negotiated it, got under contract, and then about a week later, we went back for an inspection. And this was in the winter, but inspection day, it was like 70. It was a very nice warm day. I remember us wearing short sleeve shirts. We were outside. The grass was still fairly green. And so we spent a lot more time outside this time. And at this point, they had been under contract for a week. They had already made a lot of plans for this house. They've already figured out what furniture they're gonna need. They've figured out some plans for the backyard, for landscaping, and where they're gonna add some trees. And while we were out there looking at the fence, we were peeking around through the fence, and we just started smelling something that was really odd.
You smell that? What is that?
What?
What's that smell?
And sure enough, we peeked through that picket fence, and we found years and years of built-up trash.
What?
In the neighbor's backyard, and it stunk. And I felt like as the day went on, we were there for a couple hours for an inspection, it just got worse and worse and worse. And it was a cool 70-degree day in the winter, so it wasn't like a balmy all day 70. So, you know, when I'm in a situation like this with buyers, I always talk about the things you can change and the things you can't change. And one thing you can't change is you can't change your neighbors. You can't change their habits. And something like this is probably not, it's going to get much worse before it gets better. And they're probably not going to leave that house anytime soon. So, you know, unless there's some kind of medical emergency or some kind of emergency with the actual home because it's a hazard, this is going to be a problem for 5, 10, 15, maybe even longer years. So this would be something that they would have to assume if they were planning on moving forward with this house. Now, unfortunately, this house did pretty much pass inspection with a few minor things. Every house, you know, has a few minor things regardless of the age, even new ones. But we walked away from this house because of the neighbors. neighbors. And their front yard, you would not be able to tell that situation was going on. But unfortunately, they were going to have extremely smelly neighbors. They would have not been able to enjoy the outside if they moved into this new house without knowing. And so, lesson learned, regardless of the weather, even if it's hailing, I will make sure every buyer peeks through the fence of their neighbors when we are going out house hunting. It's always been my goal to make sure when we're house hunting, it's always during the day because the dark can tend to hide things, but peeking through the fence is a good thing to always do. So there you have it. Those are the 5 stinky places that you will find if you decide to move to the Denver metro area. Every place has a smell of some sort. So if it's dog food or marijuana or the ponds or your neighbors, you're just gonna wanna be aware of the smells, especially if you're someone that's sensitive to smells. You just need to make sure that when you're purchasing your home, you are diligent, not just about how it looks, how it feels, the size of it, but also the smell. Remember, as your agent, I am very upfront, I'm very honest. I tell all my clients the good, the bad, and the ugly, even if it's hard for them to hear. This is an emotional, decision for my clients, but for me, it's my job to make sure that my clients have all the facts to make the right decision for themselves. So even if it's information that I don't want to share with them, my clients always know all of the information, good, bad, and ugly, on every house that they are interested in. I'm happy to help you in all of your real estate, endeavors here in the Denver metro area. So if you're looking for an agent, I am happy to help, especially if you're looking for one that's going to be upfront and honest with you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I hope this video gave you a little bit of a chuckle, and there's going to be more of them, so why not subscribe? What do you have to lose, right? Hopefully you enjoyed this. I hope you make Colorado your next home. I love it here. Everybody that lives in Colorado really does truly love it. So don't think that everything here just stinks. And I hope you stick around for my next video.